The moment Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski lost it at a press conference, live. The moment the simmering tension that's been bubbling just beneath the surface boiled over. The moment the carefully stitched together image of a unified, forward-thinking franchise fell apart in front of microphones and cameras like a soggy paper towel. And all it took was one question about Shedeur Sanders. One question.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
A reporter simply asked, point blank, why Sanders, after dominating in the preseason, hasn't seen the field. Why he's being kept on the sidelines while the Browns continue to pretend like quarterback roulette is a sustainable strategy. And instead of the usual coach speak deflection, Stefanski snapped. The voice rose. The eyes narrowed. There was a sharp inhale and a cold stare that hung in the room like smoke. And then came the defensive word salad, classic damage control under pressure. It's not about one player. We have a process. He's young. We're thinking long term. Sure. Translation? We're panicking and don't want to admit we screwed this up. Because let's be honest, the entire NFL world has been whispering it for weeks. The Browns had a star fall into their lap, and instead of embracing the moment, they got scared. Scared of upsetting the hierarchy. Scared of admitting they got it wrong with their current depth chart. Scared of what it would mean to hand the reins to a rookie who doesn't wait his turn and just looks ready. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders? He's not some wide-eyed prospect hoping for a few snaps and a pat on the head. He's not here to be groomed. He walked into the building already polished, already professional, already better than what's ahead of him on the roster. And now, after weeks of media speculation and fan frustration, the tension finally snapped in public. Stefanski's outburst wasn't just anger, it was fear. The kind of fear that builds when you know the house of cards is swaying and the wind is coming from inside. Because it's not just the fans talking anymore. NFL players are chiming in. Travis Kelce liked a post about Sanders getting benched. Derek Carr gave a no comment when asked what he thought about the situation, aka the universal translation for yeah, it's bad. The locker room, the league, the entire football ecosystem is buzzing with one question. What is Cleveland doing? Seriously, what are they doing? You've got a rookie quarterback who showed elite decision-making, poise under pressure, and field vision beyond his years in the preseason, who lit up defenses and looked in control every time he touched the ball. A guy who not only plays like a starter, but acts like one, who showed leadership, rallied teammates, and carried himself with the kind of confidence that can actually anchor a franchise. And instead of harnessing that, you benched him. You iced him out. You pretended he didn't just outperform your veterans on live TV. And for what? For loyalty to a crumbling plan? For fear of change? For the comfort of mediocrity? This isn't just a personnel decision. It's a reflection of a team paralyzed by its own past mistakes. The Browns have had a quarterback problem since before some of their rookies were born. They've made bad calls, burned bridges, and watched future stars flourish elsewhere. It's a legacy of second-guessing and slow-motion disasters. And now, when they finally have a shot at turning the page, they're fumbling the pen. Let's talk about the internal politics, because, it's thick. Sources, and let's be real, common sense, suggest that Shedeur's situation has way less to do with on-field performance, and way more to do with what's going on behind the scenes. We're talking ownership involvement, coaching staff disagreements, maybe even a little ego warfare. Some in the front office reportedly want Shedeur starting. Others are still clinging to their original picks, too prideful to admit that a 21-year-old just came in and disrupted the pecking order. The old guard versus the new wave. And Shedeur? He's just sitting there, cool, composed, and quite frankly, unbothered. Because he knows the tape doesn't lie. He knows the locker room sees it. The receivers know it. The defense knows it. And every time the Browns go 3 and out with a safe, uninspiring quarterback under center, the stadium feels it. So now we've hit the boiling point. And it's not just Stefanski sweating. The entire organization is starting to crack. The local media's turning up the heat. National outlets are circling like vultures. Fans are booing more and believing less. You can't PR spin your way out of this one with community outreach tweets and trust the process hashtags. The Browns have a crisis of identity, and Shedeur Sanders just became the symbol of everything they're afraid of. Let's not forget, this is a kid who, in college, played under the most media-intense coach in the game, Deion Sanders. He was built in the pressure cooker. He's been mic'd up, scrutinized, and spotlighted since day one. He walks into NFL locker rooms more composed than most 10-year vets. You think he's rattled by Cleveland's chaos? Please. What's rattling is the fear of what comes next if they keep him buried. Because the longer the Browns wait, the more they risk a total collapse of trust. In the locker room, in the coaching staff, in the vision. How do you look your players in the eye and say, we're doing what's best for the team, when the guy who gives you the best chance to win is holding clipboard? You think players won't notice? You think fans will just sit back and accept it? No. They're already tweeting, already talking, already fantasizing about what Sanders could do if he were in Detroit, or Atlanta, or anywhere else that values talent over tenure. And here's the worst-case scenario. Sanders stays benched, grows frustrated, and decides he's out after his rookie deal. Or sooner, if he pushes hard enough. Then the Browns have nothing. No development, no legacy, no future. Just another name on the long list of what could have been. But there's still a window. A small, flickering window to salvage this disaster. Start him. Acknowledge what everyone else already sees. Let Shedeur take the field. Let him prove it on Sundays. Give the fans something to believe in. And give a locker room a leader who's actually earned their respect. Because if you don't, the Browns will not just lose Shedeur Sanders. They'll lose everything. And that sound you hear in the background? That's the Colts sharpening their pitch. That's other GMs making quiet calls. That's agents and insiders already imagining the next move. Because if Cleveland lets him slip, trust, someone else will turn him into the star he already is. So what's the play? Will the Browns keep hiding behind broken philosophies and backward logic? Or will they have the courage to admit they got it wrong and start the right guy before it's too late? You already know what time it is. Let me know in the comments. Are the Browns sabotaging Shedeur on purpose? Was Stefanski's meltdown the beginning of the end? And more importantly, should Sanders be starting next game? Tap that subscribe button, because this drama is just getting messy, eh? And you know we're going to be here, breaking it down every step of the way. The Cleveland Browns are now standing at the edge of a cliff, blindfolded, arms outstretched, about to swan dive into what could be the single worst quarterback management disaster since, well, the last time they did this. Because this isn't new. This isn't fresh. This is the Browns classic, the remix we didn't ask for. The one where they get this close to turning the corner, only to trip over their own stubbornness and faceplant on national television. Again. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the innocent bystander caught in the wreckage of someone else's bad decision-making. He came into the organization with composure. He didn't walk in cocky. He walked in confident. He showed up early, stayed late, studied film like a seasoned vet, and then delivered in preseason like he had something to prove. And did. He didn't just flash moments of potential. He showed complete control. Pocket presence, timing, deep ball accuracy, leadership. It was all right there. And Cleveland just squinted at it, like they weren't quite sure what they were seeing. Like they were looking at a diamond, but calling it a nice rock. Because deep down, they didn't want to admit that the guy they didn't plan for might actually be the best quarterback on the roster. So instead of rolling with what was working, they decided to protect the ego of their system. Stick to the plan. Keep the veteran. Push the narrative that Shedeur is developing. Like he didn't just run a better offense than the guy starting in front of him. And now, we've entered full-on PR DEFCON 1. You've got reporters pulling receipts. Former players calling out the team on podcasts. Even anonymous sources. You know it's serious when the word anonymous starts showing up in tweets from verified accounts, saying the locker room is split. There are whispers that Stefanski's decision wasn't just football-driven, that ownership may be involved, protecting a former investment, unwilling to admit they may have wasted millions on someone Shedeur already outperformed for free. And that press conference outburst? That wasn't strategy. That was emotional leakage. Stefanski cracked under the pressure because he knows this narrative is not going away. Every game Sanders sits, every time the Browns' offense stutters, the spotlight on that bench gets brighter. The calls get louder. The fans get angrier. And the narrative gets harder to control. You think Shedeur's camp isn't watching all of this with raised eyebrows and quiet frustration? You think Deion Sanders, a man who's built his entire coaching philosophy on recognizing real, isn't talking to his son every night like, "You good, baby?" Because they clearly don't see what the rest of us do. And look, Shedeur's not the kind of guy to throw tantrums. He's not tweeting cryptic Drake lyrics or demanding trades in dramatic Instagram lives. He's too smart for that. But that doesn't mean he's okay with this. That doesn't mean his silence is agreement. Sometimes silence is just strategy, a chess move waiting to be activated. Because make no mistake, if Cleveland keeps dragging their feet, Sanders has options. And this is where it gets dangerous for the Browns, because in today's NFL, players have more leverage than ever. If you think Shedeur won't find a way out of this mess with his stock still high, you haven't been paying attention. He's not just a quarterback, he's a brand. He's marketable. He's got the poise of a franchise leader and the media savvy of someone who understands his value off the field just as much as on it. So what happens when that kind of player feels undervalued? When he looks around and sees that every other rookie QB with half his production is getting a shot, while he's stuck running scout team drills. Eventually, something breaks. And right now, it's looking like it's going to be Cleveland's entire public image. Because let's zoom out for a second. This whole situation is bigger than just Shedeur Sanders. It's about how franchises handle talent. How ego, fear, and old-school thinking can derail momentum before it even begins. The Browns have always talked about wanting to change their culture. But culture isn't just about slogans and locker room posters. It's about action. It's about putting the best player on the field, even if it means admitting you were wrong about someone else. And right now, this team is clinging to the past like a life raft in a storm. Holding onto old decisions, old evaluations, old narratives, anything to avoid the uncomfortable truth that maybe, just maybe, the future is sitting right in front of them, wearing number 2, helmet off, headset on, watching from the sideline while fans scream his name. And let's not even start on the media circus this is turning into. Every time the Browns' offense stalls, every time the cameras cut to Shedeur on the sideline, stoic and unbothered, it adds another layer to the drama. Commentators are already dropping little bombs like, you have to wonder what's going through Sanders' mind right now. And how long can Cleveland afford to keep that kind of talent on the bench? It's become the story. Forget the schedule. Forget the standings. Forget who's leading the AFC North. The only thing people are talking about is this ticking time bomb in Cleveland. And the only person who's managed to stay calm through all of it is Shedeur himself. Which, honestly, makes the whole situation even more insane. He's not causing the drama. He's enduring it. And, in the process, proving exactly why he should be leading this team. Because, in a franchise known for dysfunction, Shedeur Sanders has been the most stable person in the building. So let's talk about solutions. Let's pretend for 1 minute that the Browns decide to stop playing hot potato with their future and actually fix this. Step 1. Get in front of the narrative. Admit you made a mistake. Don't hide behind vague coach speak and depth chart politics. Say it plain. Shedeur earned his shot, and we're giving it to him. That's it. You'll win back half the fan base in a single press release. Step 2. Build around him. Stop wasting time. Stop planning for quarterbacks who don't exist yet. Start building a system that suits his strengths. Open up the offense, let him move, throw on the run, call his own audibles. Give him the kind of control that he's earned. Step 3. Let him lead. Because that's what this is really about. The locker room needs a leader. The fans need a reason to believe. And the franchise needs a face who doesn't flinch under pressure. That's not something you find in a scouting report. That's something you feel when a guy walks in the room. And Shedeur has it. But let's be real, we all know that's not going to happen overnight. The Browns are too far into the spiral. And unless someone in the building wakes up tomorrow with a complete personality transplant, this saga is going to keep getting messier before it gets better. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Maybe this is the fire the organization needed to finally wake up and change course. Because if they don't, this won't be remembered as that time Cleveland benched a promising rookie. It'll be remembered as the moment they pushed away their franchise quarterback and set their team back another 10 years. So yeah, the pressure is on. What started as a preseason controversy has now morphed into a full-blown identity crisis. And no matter how many times the Browns media team posts behind-the-scenes videos of team bonding or motivational locker room speeches, the cracks are very visible. The fans see it. The media sees it. The players? Oh, they feel it. Every practice rep, every team meeting, every sideline glance. It's all soaked in tension. And at the center of it all is a 21-year-old rookie quarterback who should be the future. But instead, he's being treated like a distraction. Let's go ahead and name what this is: organizational fear. Because that's what's driving every single one of these bad decisions. Not logic, not strategy, not even loyalty. Just pure, old-fashioned fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of change. Fear of letting go of the past. Fear of empowering a young player who doesn't fit their mold of what a franchise quarterback is supposed to look like. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders doesn't care about your mold. He's not here to play dress-up in outdated playbooks and fragile egos. He's here to win. He's here to lead. And most importantly, he's here to prove you wrong every time you underestimate him. And don't get it twisted. He's been underestimated before. Back in Colorado, remember the noise? The headlines calling him overhyped. The analysts saying his stats were padded. That he only got attention because of his dad. And then he stepped on the field, dismantled defenses, read coverages like he was fluent in defensive coordinator, and earned every ounce of respect he now carries with him. So now we're watching Cleveland make the same mistake those college doubters did. And worse. Because it's one thing to question a player. It's another to have a front row seat to his excellence and still pretend like it's not happening. Let's just take a second and remember, this kid balled out in preseason. We're not talking flashes of potential or, well, maybe someday. No, we're talking drive after drive of command, poise, and playmaking. We're talking sustained execution against NFL-level defenses. We're talking chemistry with receivers that took veterans months to build. The kind of performance that makes you stop scrolling and go, wait, who is that? And the response from Cleveland? Cool. Grab a clipboard. It's mind-numbing. But even worse than the mismanagement is the gaslighting. Because now they're trying to spin the story like we're the ones overreacting. He's young. We're being patient. We don't want to throw him in too early. Okay, but too early for what? Too early to outperform your current starter? Too early to energize your entire franchise? Too early to fix the stagnation that's dragging your offense into the mud? Let's call it what it is. This isn't about protecting Shedeur. It's about protecting their pride. And you know who's sitting back and laughing right now? Other GMs. Other coaching staffs. Because they know what's going on. They know a franchise fumble when they see one, and they're already thinking, if Cleveland's dumb enough to let him go, we're clearing cap space. Oh, and by the way, this is exactly how quarterbacks walk away and become stars somewhere else. We've seen this movie before. Too many times. We saw it with Drew Brees, with Kurt Warner, with Ryan Tannehill, with Geno Smith, with Jimmy Garoppolo, with Justin Fields even now. The difference is, Shedeur isn't a late bloomer. He's ready now. But Cleveland? Still flipping through the QB instruction manual like it's their first day on the job. And here's what makes the whole thing even more unhinged. The players have started talking. Nothing explicit. No public betrayals. But the quotes are getting looser. The side comments sharper. The post-game interviews more awkward. You can feel it. That subtle, unspoken question floating around every room Shedeur walks into. Why isn't he starting yet? Some are probably scared to say it outright. Others? Maybe not so much. Because if you're a veteran on that roster, if you've spent years losing close games and living through the endless quarterback shuffle, you're probably looking at Shedeur thinking, this kid is the real deal. And yet here you are, still being told to trust the process. What process? The one that's turned your franchise into a national punchline for the last 20 years? The one that drafts QBs high and burns through them faster than Twitter hot takes? Yeah, that process. And the fans? They've had enough. The stands are turning into live therapy sessions. Every bad throw from the starter is met with grumbles and chants. Every 3-and-out feels like an insult. You can feel the frustration in the air like static. It's reaching that dangerous place, the one where people stop being angry and start being apathetic. And for a franchise, that's death. Because apathy means they've given up on hope. And Shedeur Sanders was the hope. So what now? What does Cleveland actually do in this moment? Because if they think this will all magically go away, they're living in a fantasy world. The story has legs. The locker room is watching. The league is watching. And the fans? They're not asking anymore. They're demanding. Start him. That's it. That's the only card you've got left. Start Shedeur Sanders. Not next week. Not eventually. Now. Because if you don't, here's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to drag out this mess for a few more weeks. The media heat is going to crank up. More insiders are going to leak details. The fans are going to lose patience. The locker room is going to split. And Shedeur? He's going to leave. And when he does, the Browns will once again be that team. The one that had a gem in their hands and decided to toss it back in the river because they didn't like how it sparkled. It's not too late to fix this. But the window is shrinking. And at this point, even if you do start him, you better not just throw him into a mess and say, okay, fix it. You better support him. You better build around him. You better believe in him, publicly, loudly, and unapologetically. Because if you don't, trust me, the league will. And the Browns will have to watch another team, another city, another fan base celebrate the rise of Shedeur Sanders while they sit in press conferences talking about rebuilding culture for the 50th time. We've seen it before. And unless something changes fast, we're about to see it again. So here's the final word. Cleveland, this is your fork in the road. You can either wake up, own your mistakes, and give your franchise a real chance, or you can stick to your outdated playbook and watch another future walk out the door. The choice is yours. Now tell me in the comments, has Cleveland completely lost the plot? Should Shedeur demand a trade right now? And if so, where should he go next? Make sure you're subscribed. Because if you think this story is cooling down anytime soon, oh no, the fire just started.